So in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to focus on these 5 reasons why business deals blow up. And it's about understanding and navigating those emotional aspects that are involved in the sale. So I'm curious to know your thoughts about this question. So if you could put this into chat, and Tom, I'd appreciate it because I can't really see chat well where I am right now, to see what people have to say. So what percentage of business owners would you say profoundly regret selling their business 12 months after the deal? Based on those percentages there, what do you think?
Seeing 35, a lot of 35s here so far.
Okay.
15, 55 from Anya, a few 55s, mostly 35s. Okay. I'm going to guess that it's surprisingly high in 55.
Okay.
Myself.
So here's what I will tell you. Research from the Exit Planning Institute indicates that 75% of business owners become dissatisfied with the result post-transition. And one of the top reasons behind their seller's remorse is that they're not emotionally or personally prepared for the impact of selling their business. So let's see what you have to say about this one. What percentage of business owners have either no plans or state just a general goal of retire post-transition? Let's get your responses in chat on this one.
72, 72, 72, 60. It's high. Based on my own experience, I'd say it's high. That I don't see concrete retirement plans. Yes, so 60 and 72 would seem to be the consensus.
Okay, so it actually, so I think you got lured by the first percentage that was there. It's actually 48%. Have no plans or have given little thought or no thought to what their life was going to look like after they transition out of their business. But if you now look beyond that, there's only 4% of people who actually have a formal written life after business plan. Now, I saw some other research on this in a book called Your Next Adventure. I have seen that as high as 17% of people who have a formal written plan, but it's still a woefully small number. So I've talked with a lot of professionals like yourselves and other specialized business advisors who are involved in this whole process of completing the sales transaction. They've seen this over and over again with their own clients. And I imagine that maybe you've seen this as well with people who are not so happy after the fact, or they don't really have a formal plan in place. So what does this mean and how does it impact how you work with your clients? So I want to be clear. The financial side of preparing for the sale of the business is obviously critical, and the counsel of that whole business transition team is extremely important in managing all the complexities that are involved in moving from pre-sale to post-sale. Yet there's one part of that business transition team that's usually missing, and that's the professional like me who helps that business owner to navigate the 5 areas of preparedness that are needed for that personal transition that they're going to be facing. And those areas of preparedness are the 5 reasons why business deals can fail. So without a well thought out personal transition plan, your client might back away at the last minute after so much work has been done to find the right buyer and to get everything in place. And even if they do go through with the sale, you may find that they're struggling and they're really unhappy a few months down the road. And I don't think any of us want to see that happen to our clients. So here are some of the things that we tend to hear business owners saying before the sale are things like, I can't do this, I'm not ready. Who am I going to be if I'm not running this business anymore? And maybe they're kicking the can down the road. I'm just going to wait another 5 years or so and then I'll sell it then. For those who've actually gone through and sold the business, we hear them say things like, I'm bored. It's only been 6 months. I've done everything on my bucket list. Now what the heck will I do now? Why did I sell? What did I do? So let me just see a show of hands. How many of you have heard your clients or family members say anything like this at all? Yeah, so I see some physical hands raised. Yeah, so very common, right? And so it's understandable that people would be experiencing these kinds of things because most business owners love the work that they do, and leaving it behind or the prospect of leaving it behind can throw them for a loop. So let's think about an example for a second. You've got a business owner who loves their work, probably start their day pretty early in the morning, let's say 5:30 in the morning, they get up. And they get ready for the day, they grab some coffee, they grab some breakfast, and maybe while they're doing that, they're signing on and looking at emails, they're checking the schedule for the day, maybe they're mentally starting to prepare for meetings they need to have, decisions they need to make, people they need to connect with. They've probably checked their email 2 or 3 different times, maybe sent some text messages before they get out the door. Now they may actually be driving to an office again, and maybe during that ride, they're making another call or 2 on the way into work. They get into work, they're busy, the day flies by. At the end of the day, now maybe they have some networking event to go to, some social event that they're sponsoring, or maybe they get to go home and have some dinner with their family. But after that, at some point in the evening, they're probably back on email again. Just sign on, send a few, get a few more text messages out, maybe read an article or 2, and then they go to bed. Now let's take that same business owner after they sell their business. So the alarm doesn't go off in the morning because they promised themselves they would let themselves sleep in now if they didn't have to work. But out of habit, they wake up anyway, and they decide to get up. And they begin to consider what it is they're going to do that day. So instead of something to look forward to, instead of important decisions to make, instead of connecting with their staff, their clients, their customers, the kinds of things that have driven them for decades, there's nothing. There's no place to be, nothing to do, no purpose. And if they're in their mid-60s, which tends to be very much the time that people will do this, they have likely another 22 years or another 8,000 days ahead of them, just like this one. And this is a type of situation that's leading to higher rates of alcoholism and drug abuse, depression, even suicide in this age group. And so let's look at these 5 areas or reasons of preparedness that, if they're addressed, in addition to the financial considerations, it can smooth the transition and really increase the chances that the sale is going to go through and that your client is going to be happier on the other side of retirement. So there's 5 significant benefits of work: financial compensation, time management, sense of purpose, status, and socialization. And so if an individual doesn't have a plan in place to replace these benefits of work, or they're taking all of their identity from their work and their business, they're often going to delay retirement or selling the business. And even if they do move forward, it'll make that transition to retirement more difficult. Now, retiring from a business doesn't always mean that they won't work again. They may work part-time. They may work in something that's really more of a passion of theirs. Perhaps they start another business, but on a smaller scale. Maybe they're doing some consulting. But creating some sort of a phased transition is something that sometimes people do, but you want to do it intentionally. If they choose not to work, then a strategy needs to be developed to be in place so that they get those benefits in another way from day one post-sale. So not doing so can lead to a lot of anxiety as that sale date approaches. The second reason that these business deals can blow up because people aren't prepared is in regards to their health. So oftentimes people have spent a lot of time invested in the business and their healthy habits really aren't where they should be. And the older we get, the more important those healthy habits are in determining whether we're going to thrive during those later years or simply survive. And 7 of the most important health practices that set that foundation are things like avoiding tobacco use, proper nutrition, positive response to stress, having proper sleep and relaxation, maintaining an ideal weight, moderate use of alcohol, and sufficient exercise. So setting that stage for physical and mental well-being is also critical to thriving in retirement. And without established healthy habits in place before selling the business, it's very unlikely they'll be created post-sale. We tend to become more of who we already are as we get older and we move into retirement. So having those things and habits in place ahead of time, really important. The third reason has to do with family relationship dynamics that come into play both before, during, and after the sale of the business. So selling that business and retiring is all about change, and how flexible we are impacts how we handle change. And some of those relationship changes involve our spouse or partner, involve our family, friends, even coworkers, adult children who may be returning home or are already home with you, grandchildren and staying connected with them, and also aging parents. So there can be very different expectations between all the various people involved. And sorting all of this out and having conversations ahead of time can minimize the potential trauma of misaligned expectations. And now that the business owner won't be spending the majority of their time working, it's time to really be reflecting on this wide range of relationships and determine how they might choose to enhance the existing relationships they have, and where is it time to consider developing new relationships and expanding those relationships. The fourth reason things go awry is having little or no idea of how their time is going to be spent. So oftentimes you probably hear people say, well, I'm going to golf or I'm going to play tennis. But the activity that we've enjoyed our whole lives can start to lose its allure when it's all we're doing 5 days a week. And so in this arena, it's really important to start to explore broader categories of leisure, things that involve social interaction, things that are spectator appreciation, for instance, things that involve creative expression, intellectual stimulation, physical exercise, as well as solitary relaxation. And really sort of fleshing out what are all the various things that we might be able to do. And then finally, that fifth reason or area of preparedness that has to be in place is to plan for ongoing personal development. And personal development, in the way that I'm talking about it here, involves having meaning and purpose in your life. It can be pretty frightening to be facing the unknown of what it's going to be like what's going to get me out of bed in the morning after the sale of the business. So oftentimes people can find purpose in volunteering in some way, helping others and giving back. What we found is that individuals who volunteer on a regular basis register much higher levels of life satisfaction and personal meaning, as well as being able to increase their life expectancy. And we are inherently lifelong learners. So learning something new every day really keeps us active and keeps us involved. And so what I'm recommending here is a holistic approach that, when smart business owners start thinking about selling their business, they will pull together a team of people to help them to navigate a wide range of the complexities that are involved in ensuring that business is ready for sale. Yet those usually focus only on finance and business operations, which are critical without a doubt. But what they don't usually realize is missing until it's too late is that preparing themselves for the transition itself is equally important. So without these 5 additional pieces of the retirement puzzle addressed, in addition to finances, business owners are much more likely to stop the sale or feel regret after the sale. So what can you do? So when somebody starts to come to you to begin discussing the process of selling their business, hopefully 4 or 5 years before they're actually getting ready to sell, you can do them an incredible service by asking them something very simple along the lines of, how will you know if you're succeeding in retirement? Or what is it that you want to retire to? Or what will you do next? And if they don't have a well thought out answer to those questions, I can work with them on that. Most business sales will actually go through if your client goes through a coaching process early on. And until they have clarity about what life is going to be like after they sell, the rest isn't going to fully fall into place. And having a transition plan is also going to shed more light on what they really need financially after the sale and make decisions much easier because they know what they're moving towards and what's important to them. Now, retirement is a very personal thing. There's no cookie cutter approach to it. And preparing early is going to allow your business clients to move more seamlessly from pre-sale to post-sale. Business owners have worked really hard to build their businesses to what they are today, and that didn't happen without planning. And that post-sale life calls for an equal amount of planning. So I'll share with you just a little bit about how I tend to work with clients. So I have this quote here from Roy Disney. It's really important when I work with clients is to help them identify what are those values and needs that are important to them today, at this part of their life. And with clarity on what those are and what they mean to that particular business owner and how they're going to meet those in the next stages of their life, all the decisions that they need to make become much easier because they have those values and needs to bump them up against and use sort of as a compass to help them move forward. So what I've outlined here is a typical 3-month sort of coaching program that I use with clients. We start off with a life options profile that assesses their readiness across 12 different lifestyle and attitudinal dimensions across these 5 life arenas that I just talked about, plus finance and insurance. And so once they've completed that, they have a personalized report that indicates those areas of preparedness and looks at any gaps that start to create a little bit of a blueprint for us for retirement planning and transition. And so we debrief that report, and then we use the results to set the foundation for our coaching work together. And then we use a combination of resources, the companion book, workbook exercises, the coaching sessions to really help them build a plan to create a successful transition. A typical program like this runs an individual client about $2,400, but I have a range of programs that I use with clients. So we can do everything from just a basic jump start, which is about $450, all the way to something that's very comprehensive, which would be more like $4,500 that we would do over a 5-month period. So I customize my programs to a client's needs. I always give them a 45-minute conversation up front, complimentary, to really get clear on what it is they're trying to accomplish, and then recommend a program that will work best for them. But this is kind of gives you a typical sense of what it looks like. So with that, I open it up to questions.